Sony has confirmed the release window for Marvel's Spider-Man 2 in a recently released blog post highlighting some games coming to PlayStation in 2023. Insomniac has been silent about the next sequel to the Spider-Man video game franchise, and conjecture has been most of the conversation surrounding Marvel's Spider-Man 2 all year. Now an official report from Sony confirms when fans can expect the game. Sony has had a big year with its first-party exclusive releases. After finally getting games like Horizon Forbidden West, GT 7 and God of War Ragnarok finally out of the door, it's safe to say that Sony has now mostly emptied its arsenal of previously announced PS5 titles. Now, fans are looking ahead at what games Sony has coming next. One game that has gone silent since its first announcement trailer has been at the top of PlayStation gamers' minds, which is Marvel's Spider-Man 2. After going nearly all of 2022 without mentioning Insomniac's follow-up to the hit Marvel Spider-Man game and spin-off title Spider-Man Miles Morales, and missing numerous opportunities at holding a PlayStation case, Sony finally confirms when it expects to release Marvel's Spider-Man 2. In a PlayStation blog post, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 has been given an expected fall 2023 release window. This aligns with a rumor from an Insomniac Games writer that claimed Marvel's Spider-Man 2 would be coming in the latter half of 2023. Fans have been getting a bit antsy since it's been some time since Sony has talked about anything regarding Marvel's Spider-Man 2 officially. Worries were mounting that the game may have quietly been delayed into 2024 because there has been little talk about the game since its reveal during the PlayStation Showcase in 2021. Now chatter is starting to build back up as there was a recently premature launch for Marvel's Spider-Man 2 storefront page on the PlayStation Store earlier in December. And now there is this mention of the game as the first topic in PlayStation's blog post looking towards the future. The blog post also mentioned other games coming to PlayStation consoles in 2023 like Destiny 2's Lightfall expansion, Forspoken, and Hogwarts Legacy. But it's a safe assumption that Marvel's Spider-Man May 2nd be one of the biggest expected releases for the platform next year. The game, which will seemingly team up Peter Parker with Miles Morales and perhaps even Venom against Kraven the Hunter, has had fans excited from the moment it was announced. The game's placement near the release of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse movie release, which features a cameo of the PlayStation characters, may also garner interest from fans wanting another experience involving multiple Spider-Men. Now they can begin honing in on a release date sometime between August and October 2023. A far more likely release date for Spider-Man 2 is within the first couple weeks of November 2023. This would follow the pattern of Sony's releases over the past few years that saw God of War Ragnarok released on November 9th in 2022. Spider-Man Miles Morales and Demon's Souls released alongside the PS5 on November 12th in 2020, and Death Stranding released on November 8th in 2019. With this in mind, the most likely release date for Spider-Man 2 is either November 7th or November 14th, 2023. Both of those dates are Tuesdays. Common days for games to launch on and are close to the dates previous PlayStation titles have been released. It's still too early to know for sure what other games the launch of Spider-Man 2 will have to compete with, but it's a safe bet that it will follow the November release pattern established over the past few years. Amazon Games is teaming with Crystal Dynamics to publish the next game in the Tomb Raider franchise. Tomb Raider has been one of the gaming industry's biggest franchises for decades, with Crystal Dynamics successfully rebooting Lara Croft's story in 2013. But with Square Enix selling off Crystal Dynamics to Embracer Group, many were concerned about the franchise's future. Some of those concerns were laid to rest earlier this year when Crystal Dynamics announced that it was making a new Tomb Raider game using Unreal Engine 5. Details on the new Tomb Raider game remain scarce, but the announcement that Amazon is publishing the next Tomb Raider game has revealed some more, albeit vague, information on the project and what it will entail. According to Amazon and Crystal Dynamics, the new Tomb Raider game will be a single-player game and continues Lara Croft's story. Reading between the lines, this seems to suggest that the game will be set in the Tomb Raider reboot timeline, following up where Shadow of the Tomb Raider left off, but that still has yet to be officially confirmed. The game will feature a confident and multidimensional take on Lara Croft, exploration and creative pathfinding, mind-bending puzzles, and a wide variety of enemies to face and overcome. The game is also being described as the biggest, most expansive Tomb Raider game made so far. Previous leaks have suggested that the new Tomb Raider game will recast the role of Lara Croft. Camilla Luddington has earned a great deal of acclaim for her portrayal of Lara Croft in the Reboot trilogy, so it would be somewhat strange for Crystal Dynamics to go with a different actress, especially if the intent is for this new game to be set in the same universe as the most recent games. But again, clarification on these matters will have to wait until a later date. It's interesting that wide variety of enemies to face was mentioned. The Tomb Raider Reboot games have primarily had Lara Croft facing off against human enemies, but the older games in the series featured more fantastical foes and a collection of dangerous animals for Croft to face. Maybe this is a sign that the new game will have more in common with the original game as opposed to the newer entries in terms of enemies, but that's just speculation at this time. Rumor has it that more information on the new Tomb Raider will come next year, so fans will have to stand by for more information. Speaking of Amazon's foothold in gaming, a God of War TV series is officially in development and will be available through Amazon Prime Video. God of War is one of Sony's most popular gaming franchises, earning strong sales and critical acclaim since the first game released for the PlayStation 2 back in 2005. The latest entries in the God of War franchise have made the series even more popular, so it's no surprise that it's getting the TV adaptation treatment. Sony first announced plans to produce a God of War TV series for Amazon Prime Video earlier this year, but now it's official. That same announcement confirmed that a Horizon Zero Dawn TV series is also in the works for Netflix. That combined with the Twisted Metal series on Peacock and The Last of Us HBO series premiering in January, and it's clear that Sony is looking to aggressively expand its franchises to mediums beyond the gaming space. As far as the God of War TV series goes, Amazon has revealed some of the first plot details. According to Amazon, the God of War TV series will be based on the 2018 God of War game, as opposed to the 2005 original. The series will follow Kratos and his son Atreus on their journey to spread Kratos' deceased wife's ashes from the highest peak. The Wheel of Time's Rafe Judkins will be the showrunner, while game director Cory Barlog will serve in an executive producer role. The decision to start the God of War TV series from the 2018 entry instead of the 2005 game may prove to be controversial. While the 2018 God of War game is certainly more story-focused and features a more layered, complex version of Kratos, it's not really the beginning of his story. The original God of War trilogy would have been exciting to see translated to TV, and it could have been used to make Kratos a more interesting character from the start. It is important to play and experience the Greek saga of God of War. That experience does make the story richer. Perhaps the God of War Amazon series will explore Kratos' past in Greece through flashbacks or something, as he has a compelling, tragic backstory that would be a shame to see ignored in the television adaptation. Speaking of game adaptations, Hideo Kojima is partnering with Barbarian executive producer Alex Lubavicai to adapt Death Stranding into a feature film under their respective banners. It was reported that a Metal Gear Solid movie was in development, with Jordan Vogt-Roberts as the director and Oscar Isaac starring as Solid Snake. However, while MGS is Kojima's creation, the franchise belongs to Konami. With Death Stranding finding massive success and Death Stranding 2 announced at the Game Awards, it seems Kojima wants to take this franchise even further. Thankfully, he has now been allowed to bring his video game creations to the big screen with Kojima Productions at the helm. As previously reported, Kojima was interested in creating films and music, which he can now pursue thanks to this new collaboration. Deadline reports Hammerstone Studios is fully financing a Death Stranding film, which is being produced by both Kojima, under Kojima Productions, and Lubavicai, under Hammerhead. Plot details and who will write and direct the film adaptation are unknown, but the movie is reportedly in active development. Kojima expressed his excitement about the partnership, stating that this represents a pivotal moment for the franchise. Lubavicai's comments echoed this by saying they are thrilled and honored to have the opportunity to partner with brilliant and iconic Hideo Kojima on his first film adaptation. Lubavicai voiced that this will be unlike any big-budget video game adaptation before it, as the Death Stranding movie will be far more intimate and grounded, and will push the boundaries of what's possible as an authentic Hideo Kojima production. Kojima had teased an upcoming project that would mean big things for both movies and games, which would be an entirely new concept that utilizes advanced technology. While it is unclear at this point if the new project he was referring to was the Death Stranding film, it is clear that the auteur has a lot on the horizon. This includes a mysterious cloud game with Xbox Studios. Even though it was reported that the movie introduces new elements and characters, what remains to be seen is if the Death Stranding film adaptation will be a recreation of the first game, similar to the Last of Us HBO Max series, or if it will act as a spin-off that extends the world and characters of its story. December 4th means it's Dragon Age Day for fans of BioWare's acclaimed RPG series, and the developer has released a short cinematic teasing the upcoming sequel Dragon Age Dreadwolf. The video is narrated by one of the most recognizable voices in Dragon Age franchise and sheds some light on the background and motivations of the game's antagonist. BioWare's Dragon Age series of RPGs has earned its place as one of the best RPG franchises in gaming. While fans may argue that the series peaked with its first entry, 2009's Dragon Age Origins, the sequels Dragon Age 2 and Dragon Age Inquisition each brought something new to the table and, most importantly, gave players a chance to experience BioWare storytelling at its finest. The games are well regarded for strong world building and player freedom, with plenty of moral dilemmas and difficult choices left up to the player. Each game also hosts a variety of intriguing companions that can be influenced positively or negatively, an element that has long been a BioWare staple. Dragon Age Day, December 4th being D4, or DA in Leetspeak, began as a fan holiday but is now an important time of the year for BioWare, which recognizes the date with charitable events and game reveals. Today's celebration brings a new trailer for Dragon Age Dreadwolf entitled, Who is the Dreadwolf?, which seeks to partially answer that question in a minute-long series of animated illustrations narrated by none other than the dwarf Varric, companion from Dragon Age 2 and Dragon Age Inquisition. Varric's role as the narrator seems to confirm that at least two known Dragon Age characters will be returning in Dreadwolf, Varric, and Inquisition Salas, otherwise known as the Dreadwolf. Little has actually been revealed so far about the game, although development seems to be making good progress as it's recently been announced that Dragon Age Dreadwolf is playable from start to finish in its alpha stage. At this point, it can be expected to come out sometime in 2023 once everything is polished, bugs are squashed, and the content is finalized. Dreadwolf was originally intended to be an online live service game, though to the relief of many fans the game is now a traditional offline single-player RPG. In keeping with recently established tradition, BioWare has published a short story in celebration of this year's Dragon Age Day, which fell on December 4th. While the popular series of RPGs first launched with Dragon Age Origins on November 3, 2009, fans selected an entirely different month for Dragon 4 GE Day in an attempt to match the Mass Effect series N7 Day. In previous years, BioWare has released short stories in observance of Dragon Age Day, sharing 4 in 2020 and an additional 2 in 2021. Writers from the development team have recounted a variety of interesting events in the world of Thedas, allowing fans to revisit the franchise's unique setting as they wait for the next Dragon Age game to launch. BioWare announced that this year there would be only one short story for Dragon Age fans to enjoy, and it is available on the game's official EA page. A very quick read, As We Fly, was authored by Lucas Christiansen, a seasoned writer who has credits in BioWare games dating all the way back to Neverwinter Nights and even Black Owl Studios' Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2 Shadows of Amn. It's important to reiterate that Dragon Age Day wasn't created by BioWare, but rather by a group of fans that the developers have dubbed the unofficial DA Day team. Since 2018, Dragon Age Day has been an opportunity for fans of the franchise to write fan fiction, create artwork, and livestream to raise money for charity. In 2021, the selected organization was Able Gamers and the unofficial DA Day team raised nearly $28,000, and this year, the group partnered with the Trans Empowerment Project. Since its inception, Dragon 4 GE Day, or D4, has led to a bit of confusion, and that has only grown since BioWare officially announced that the fourth entry in the franchise is in development. Some people have come to associate D4 with a date to expect news about Dragon Age 4. Perhaps for this reason, BioWare released a new trailer for Dragon Age Dreadwolf on December 4th, satiating at least momentarily fans awaiting the game's release. Dreadwolf was officially announced at the 2018 Game Awards, though the Dragon Age game didn't get a proper title and logo until nearly 4 years later. And the game, in one form or another, has actually been in development since 2015, right after the release of Dragon Age Inquisition. A few internal upheavals at BioWare and with publisher EA resulted in the game being scrapped a couple of times. Thankfully, this latest version, Dreadwolf, seems to be on track to eventually reach fans. Dragon Age Day just passed, meaning it's been a busy time for the community eagerly awaiting Dragon Age Dreadwolf. Not only did BioWare release a new cinematic of Varric detailing Salas' actions and past in and prior to Dragon Age Inquisition, but it also released a new short story for fans to devour. Many think the cinematic is just a tease for a brand new trailer at the Game Awards. Dragon Age Absolution releases on Netflix on December 9th, and even a comic is coming. Dragon Age The Missing is an upcoming 4-issue miniseries from Dark Horse Comics that will release in January. BioWare confirmed that it is a prequel story to Dragon Age Dreadwolf and will focus on Varric and Dragon Age Inquisition scout Lace Harding, but that's it so far. As to what exactly is missing, how long after Dragon Age Inquisition it takes place, and why Varric and Harding are teaming up are all left to the imagination for now. Because this is a prequel comic releasing in 2023, many are hoping for a new Dragon Age Dreadwolf trailer confirming the release window soon. Square Enix has revealed that the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters, which have been available exclusively on PC and mobile devices for the past year, will soon be releasing for PS4 and Switch as well. This may not surprise those who have been tracking rumors about the 6-title collection of games, since there have already been whispers that the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster Collection would be ported to other platforms. The original 6 games in the long-running series have been completely overhauled with new graphics and a remastered musical score by original Final Fantasy composer Nobuo Uematsu. The character pixel art was even redone by artist Kazuko Shibuya, who has been part of the series since the beginning. However, the bonus dungeons that were introduced in the Game Boy Advance ports and some Easter eggs did not make it into the remastered versions of the games. On the 35th anniversary of the franchise, Square Enix announced the upcoming digital and limited edition physical launch of the 6 Final Fantasy Pixel remaster titles for PS4 and Nintendo Switch. The games will be available for individual purchase or as a bundle sometime in spring 2023. In celebration of the 35-year milestone, there will also be a collectible anniversary edition that comes with some fun goodies. Both the 6-game collection and the anniversary bundle are already available for pre-order, costing $75 and $260 respectively. The Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster Anniversary Edition will include all 6 games on a single disc or cartridge for either PS4 or Nintendo Switch, with a bonus lenticular sleeve. There will also be a 2-disc vinyl record set with the newly arranged music, a 128-page hardcover artbook featuring the game's unique pixel art, and 8 pixel character figures that stand approximately 3 inches tall. And all of it comes packaged in a special box decorated with character pixel art from the 6 games. Since they began being released in July 2021, there has been a lot of demand for the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters to come to other platforms, especially the Switch, which they seem particularly suited for. As a result, this anniversary announcement from Square Enix has proven to be extremely well received. As of writing, there is already a waiting list for both versions of the standard physical edition of the 6-game collection. If more of these limited edition copies are made available, anybody hoping to get their hands on one are advised to move quickly. HTC is reportedly planning to unveil a new virtual reality headset to compete with the MetaQuest product line. Virtual reality headsets have diverged along 2 paths in recent years, with high-end PC headsets delivering a niche experience and mobile-focused standalone headsets reaching a growing market. The HTC Vive was a major competitor in the niche market when it launched in 2016, but now HTC appears to be preparing to compete in a new field of virtual reality. The MetaQuest 2 is the dominant standalone headset in the current market for a variety of reasons. It runs without the need for a PC or cell phone, powered by an internal Android platform, though it can link to a PC for extra power. The MetaQuest 2 is light, has no wires restricting movement, and can be slipped on and off with ease. It's also surprisingly powerful, featuring a 120Hz refresh rate LCD panel with 1832 by 1920 resolution per eye. Perhaps its strongest selling point, however, is its $300 price. HTC has its work cut out for itself to compete with the MetaQuest 2, but it is reportedly planning to do just that. The company is said to be planning to announce and reveal its next VR headset during the CES 2023 convention, which starts on January 5th. Like with the Meta Quest 2, the new headset is designed to be an all-in-one standalone headset that's light and easy to use. One of HTC's core features for its new headset, what it's hoping will help make the new headset stand apart from the Meta Quest 2, is a focus on augmented reality experiences. The HTC headset will have front and side-facing cameras that can be fed into the headset. This will allow users to see what's around them without taking the headset off, as well as play AR games or other AR experiences. It's also a risk, however, as AR headset experiences aren't necessarily as well supported as VR apps. It's said that the new headset is likely to be more expensive than $400, potentially significantly more expensive. It will also have a battery life of around 2 hours, much like what has been confirmed for the Meta Quest Pro. That's going to make it difficult for HTC to crack Meta's control of this segment of the VR market. Competition is said to drive innovation, and a hybrid VR/AR headset that standalone is an exciting product. HTC may not be able to usurp the Meta Quest 2 with its new headset, but perhaps it can offer something more attractive to VR enthusiasts than the $1,500 Meta Quest Pro. Look forward to CES 2023 starting December 5th for more information on HTC's headset. Speaking of Meta, former co-founder of ID Software and current VR executive consultant at Meta, John Carmack, has announced that he's resigning from his position. A legendary figure in the gaming industry, John Carmack has a rich tenure including work on Commander Keen, Wolfenstein 3D, and Quake. And only left ID Software back in 2013 to pursue the development of VR technologies at Facebook/Meta. Carmack's work at Meta is most easily visible when discussing the Oculus lineup of VR headsets. These cutting-edge devices have defined the current state of virtual reality technology, and offer a great balance of price to performance for almost every VR-based use case. Carmack, however, appears to have taken issue with the efficiency with which Meta has been progressing. The remarkably flexible Meta Quest 2 headset is, according to Carmack, almost exactly what he wanted to see in a VR headset. But he claims that the issue is Meta's efficiency. Following up a leaked company announcement where Carmack let others know he'd be leaving Meta, he subsequently made the announcement on Facebook as well. "We have a ridiculous amount of people and resources," said Carmack, "but we constantly self-sabotage and squander effort." He explained that the process of working at Meta has been a struggle for him, and he felt that his feedback wasn't persuasive enough for the higher-ups to act upon it before minor problems compounded into substantial issues. Carmack shared his concerns about the metaverse not long ago, too, saying that he doesn't feel like a single company, Meta, should have so much sway in such a comprehensive virtual environment. This, too, is likely to be a part of Carmack's reasoning behind leaving Meta after a decade's worth of progress. Notably, Carmack is now going to proceed to work on his own startup, Keen Technologies, which focuses on researching the artificial general intelligence, AGI. While he seems to have been unhappy with how little influence he had within the context of Meta in the short term, Keen Technologies is likely to be more agile in this regard. None of this is to say that Oculus will be scuttling anytime soon, of course. In fact, a recent Meta patent showed off interesting gaming gloves that could be rather game-changing for VR gamers. Yet, the fact that Carmack is leaving Meta is bound to be felt at some point, even though it might not come up until several years have gone by, depending on how far along internal projects may have been developed. It may be worth pointing out that Meta has seen massive financial losses in Q2 of 2022. Though the CEO Mark Zuckerberg remains positive about the trajectory that the company is on, it doesn't seem like all of its ventures have been panning out as of late, with Meta receiving particularly substantial critique on the basis of its metaverse endeavors. Capcom has confirmed when the PlayStation VR 2 version of Resident Evil Village will be available. Resident Evil Village VR was announced during Sony's State of Play in June, where players saw a glimpse of Ethan coming face-to-face with the fan-favorite Lady Dimitrescu. Resident Evil Village is the latest installment of the long-running survival horror series that was released last year and directly follows the event scene in RE7 Biohazard. Players once again rejoin Ethan Winters as he travels to a mysterious village to rescue his daughter. Much like the seventh entry in the franchise, RE Village uses first-person perspective, a direction that I had some mixed feelings about when the previous game was released and lends itself to the VR update that is coming. Any player who owns RE Village will be able to claim this free update when it is released alongside the PlayStation VR 2 on February 22nd. This applies to both the standard version and the recently released Gold Edition and spans the entirety of Village's campaign. According to Capcom, the full specification of Sony's headset will be utilized. The 4K HDR screens, eye tracking, and 3D audio will all be used to create a completely immersive experience for Ethan Winter's latest outing. The PlayStation VR 2 Sense controllers are also set to give gamers a sense of realism, as the separate controllers will represent Ethan's hands and operate independently. Players will be able to carry out separate functions with one hand used to guard while the other can fire at any oncoming enemies. Likewise, if players are feeling more adventurous, Capcom will also introduce dual-wielding weapons into the experience just in case there are too many enemies to deal with. Players will no doubt be happy that Capcom is giving Resident Evil Village so much attention. This year, the team released the Resident Evil Village Winter's expansion, which included the return of the Mercenaries Additional Orders, a more traditional third-person mode, and Shadows of Rose DLC. This additional content saw a continuation of the main story and follows a grown-up Rose Winters, 16 years after the events of the main game. Speaking of PSVR, Sony recently filed a patent that could bring innovative AR gaming to the forefront of the PlayStation brand. Described as a device capable of producing video using synthesized input from multiple cameras, this new patent may serve as an offshoot of the PSVR 2, which is currently slated to release in February 2023. The application for this new AR approach doesn't appear to be obvious at the moment, but it seems to borrow from the multi-camera tracking systems used in early VR devices. While AR gaming has mostly been relegated to the realm of certain mobile titles and a few PS Vita and Nintendo 3DS outings, Sony has apparently dabbled in it before. In 2021, the company filed a patent that describes a kind of personal assistant to be implemented with the PSVR 2. The patent made mention of technologies like eye tracking and virtual scans of the user's real-world play space to further integrate the AR assistant, and, given that Sony has once again expressed interest in AR gaming, it seems that something of that nature could manifest in the not-too-distant future. This recent patent more specifically describes an AR play space mapped by multiple cameras from which a player, wearing a kind of head-mounted device that's likely intended to represent the PSVR 2, can customize their view. In short, it seems like a method that would allow a player to view themselves in third person. Strange as it seems, this may well blossom into an innovative new take on gaming. PlayStation is the only major home console line to offer significant support for VR, and this suggests that Sony's interest in VR and AR gaming isn't likely to diminish anytime soon. Of course, that's not to say that this unusual multi-camera system will necessarily come to fruition. Most major companies file patents without express interest in utilizing them. In 2016, Sony filed a patent for a VR gaming glove, but, thus far, nothing has ever come of it. Additionally, in 2021, a patent very similar to its most recent one was filed, which described a camera and microphone system meant to track certain gestures and sounds from players, similar to the Xbox Kinect. While something like this may be implemented in the future, for now, technologies like these have yet to be implemented. Innovative new camera system notwithstanding, the PSVR 2 still looks to be a great new step in the world of VR gaming. With a new headset, totally revamped controllers, and a slew of promising titles set for release in 2023, it's definitely a great time for gamers to get into VR and AR gaming. Valve has expressed intentions to make a new Steam controller to help bridge the gap between PC and console gaming like never before. For those who don't know, Valve is an American video game developer and publisher founded in 1996. The company is known for developing and publishing some of the most popular video games of all time, including Half-Life, Counter-Strike, Portal, and Left 4 Dead. Valve is also responsible for the Steam digital distribution platform, which is used by millions of gamers around the world. A few years ago, Valve introduced Steam controllers as part of its Steam Machine initiative, an attempt to create a gaming system that would rival the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Unfortunately, Steam machines were too expensive for casual console gamers and too difficult to upgrade for PC users, leading to the failure of the product. The Steam controller was eventually shelved in 2019 after it didn't quite pan out the way that it was intended. Recently, when answering questions from The Verge, Steam Deck designer Lawrence Young was asked about Valve's plans to revive the shelved Steam controller. He responded by saying that the company definitely wants to make a new Steam controller, but the focus is on the deck for now. He added that he could not comment on when the company would be working on the project, but hinted that the company would welcome third-party involvement. There's no denying that Valve's previous Steam controller failed to meet expectations, but that a few was years ago. A lot has changed since then, and it's evident in its latest product, the Steam Deck. Steam Deck was released earlier this year and has been a very hot gadget, and Valve is continuously trying to improve it, whether it be through new hardware or software updates. So if Valve decides to make an improved version of the Steam controller, it's safe to assume that it will be much better than their last attempt. A recent report suggested that Valve is also working on a new VR controller, potentially due to the success of its Steam Deck. If you want to know more about the VR controller, check out this video. It's not just hardware that's been seeing success at Valve, the company's games business is apparently booming, too. With Steam hitting a new record for concurrent users earlier this year, it's clear that Valve is doing better than ever before. All in all, it seems like things are going very well for Valve right now, and the one missing thing from them is the games. I'll be happy if they start to make AAA games again. According to a recent report by NPD Group, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 has become the most-selling game of 2022 in the United States. Modern Warfare 2 was released just a couple of months ago, and since its launch, it has taken the game industry by storm. According to Activision Blizzard, Modern Warfare 2 crossed the $1 billion revenue mark in just 10 days of its release. Before the official release of Modern Warfare 2, Activision spent heavily on its marketing. It invited several celebrities for Modern Warfare 2 trailers and also introduced new exciting game modes like DMZ to attract more players. The most surprising tactic was allowing players to play the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 campaign a week before its full launch. Now, with the numbers the game has generated in such a short time, it's safe to say that spending so much on marketing stuff hasn't gone in vain. According to the latest data collected by NPD, Elden Ring has been dethroned by Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2 topped the charts for the past 2 months in terms of revenue generated, making it the most successful title released in 2022. This is quite an accomplishment given the intense competition that was present in the US gaming market this year. A surge in PlayStation 5 hardware supply combined with strong sales of new games such as Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, God of War Ragnarok, Pokémon Scarlet and Violet and Sonic Frontiers helped the US video game industry reach 3% sales growth in November compared to a year ago. God of War Ragnarok is a big seller too, with Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales and Horizon Forbidden West still charting going strong. Online retailing company Rakuten conducted a study that discovered the PlayStation 5 is the most in-demand Christmas gift this year. The company ranked the PlayStation 5 at the top of the list for Christmas gifts in the United States for 2022. The newest console from Sony released in November 2020, and it was immediately difficult for fans to get their hands on a console. This was partially a condition of the COVID-19 pandemic disrupting manufacturing and supply chains, making the available stock of consoles lower and harder to restock. When coupled with the high demand for the console, even big-name stores like Walmart were selling out of PlayStation 5 consoles immediately well into 2021. Although the supply chain issues have been improved and more stores are able to get PlayStation 5 consoles in stock, the consumer demand for the next-gen console is still through the roof. The second highest item was the Nintendo Switch, and the third place breaks the gaming console pattern, however, with the iPad being the third top item. According to recent reports, the PS5 availability issue is expected to be resolved sooner than initially expected. More than 2 years have passed since the console first launched, and the PS5 is still difficult to find on store shelves due to the high demand and lack of supply. The PS5 availability problems are caused by several reasons, but the main one appears to be a lack of parts. The global chip shortage is the primary factor, as semiconductors are in high demand for a variety of industries beyond gaming. Other causes include the pandemic, which has disrupted supply chains, and the high demand for the console itself has made it difficult for manufacturers to keep up with production. Now, it appears that the PS5 stock issues are finally coming to an end. While speaking at PlayStation Partner Awards through a video call, PlayStation head Jim Ryan apologized for the supply issues and stated that Sony has successfully resolved all of them. He also added that customers in Japan and Asia will be able to get their PS5 supply from the year-end shopping season and into 2023. Recently, Sony has hit a major milestone in its home country, as 2 million PS5s have now sold in Japan. While it's a big achievement, various complications have slowed the sales of the PS5 consoles since their release. According to a report by Famitsu, as of October 23, the PS5 has officially sold 2 million units in its home country. Of those consoles, less than 300,000 were the digital edition variant, indicating that Japanese players still prefer physical media to play their games off of. While 2 million units sold is a big deal, the PS5 has fallen behind its predecessors in terms of reaching that goal, with the PS4 only taking 90 weeks to sell that many, the PS3 73 weeks. But the PS5 taking 101 weeks. Sony's console line has sold well in Japan from the start, and the PS5 is no exception, but shortages have made it difficult to get one. Scalping is an issue all over the world, and many stores in Japan still require potential buyers to enter a lottery in order to get the chance to actually buy the system. While PS5 shipments and manufacturing have been ramped up, there's likely still many people in Japan who wish they had the latest console but haven't been able to track one down. Surely this is a welcome development. However, it's worth noting that Ryan didn't mention if the issue has been resolved worldwide. This may be due to the fact that PS5 stock issues are still a problem in other parts of the world, and Ryan may not want to give false hope to people who are still waiting for the PS5. It is also safe to say that Sony is aiming to have enough stock of the PlayStation 5 available for the upcoming holiday season in Japan and Asia. Ryan's statement is just one of many reports that suggest PS5 stock issues are improving. Other news includes Sony ramping up production speed and PS5s being spotted in Walmart stores. Another report has suggested that Sony is looking to ship 30 million PS5 consoles by March 2024. Based on these factors, it can be inferred that gamers won't face any trouble getting their hands on a PS5 from next year. Despite Sony's recent price hike for the PS5 in several regions, consumer demand for the console remains high. This is likely due to the fact that the PS5 is one of the most powerful consoles on the market, and has a number of features and great gaming experiences that make it stand out from the competition. In 2022, nearly 3.2 billion people worldwide chose to engage in a video game, a 2.9 billion person rise from 2020. This would lead agencies tracking revenue to assume video game profits were on the rise, but despite the growth in the average number of players, the gaming industry made less in 2022 than it has in previous years according to a 2022 Global Games Market report. Both 2020 and 2021 saw record levels of video game engagement as well as record levels of spending surrounding the video game industry. It also brought many players back to the hobby after long absences, as people sought ways to kill time during the pandemic's quarantine phase. The majority of the industry's 2020 profits were digital, as pandemic-induced lockdowns prevented people from physically visiting retail outlets. Despite this growth during the pandemic, gaming revenues worldwide are down by 4.3% to $184.4 billion. However, some think this is simply a correction back to normal revenue levels, as the steep rise in video game spending spawned by the pandemic has started to wane. Video game spending was at an all-time high in 2020 as the pandemic peaked. In 2022, the majority of gamers are in the Asia-Pacific region, which spends roughly $87 billion yearly on gaming and makes up 48% of the market. Second is North America, spending $48.4 billion and cornering 24% of overall yearly spending. This is down across the globe on both the PC gaming front and among console gamers, especially since 2020 saw video game console spending alone soar over $50 billion annually. Revenue only rose among one demographic in 2022, and that was in Latin America and in the Middle East and Africa. Gaming's annual profits depend largely on mobile gaming, which accounts for about 50% of spending, and web browser-based gaming makes up a mere $2.3 billion of annual revenue. Games like Call of Duty Mobile were famous for pulling in mass amounts of revenue during the pandemic, and mobile titles often generate profit with a pay-to-win strategy that forces gamers to keep shelling out real money in order to advance. The Global Games Market report suggests that gaming is recession-proof given how well the industry performed during the pandemic, and how well it continues to perform given financial instability all over the world in 2022. They expect gaming's annual revenue to hit $225 billion by 2025, meaning that the 4.3% downturn currently reported isn't even a setback for the industry as a whole. Given that gaming revenues were $43 billion higher than anticipated between 2020 to 2021, it's quite likely markets are simply stabilizing as more people return to normal life following the pandemic. Sony has officially confirmed the PS Plus free games for December 2022, and while it is technically just 3 games, one of them is an entire remastered trilogy. This means that the PS Plus games for the coming month clock in at 5 total games. The PS Plus free games for December 2022 include the PS4 version of Mass Effect Legendary Edition, a PS4 and PS5 version of Biomutant, and a PS4 and PS5 version of Divine Knockout. Mass Effect Legendary Edition is a remastered collection of the original Mass Effect trilogy, so in short, fans can claim Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3, Biomutant, and Divine Knockout in December. Indeed, fans who have yet to dive into Mass Effect Legendary Edition genuinely should, as it's the perfect balance of honoring the past and moving forward into the modern era. Starting December 20th, PlayStation Plus Extra subscribers can play Far Cry 5, Far Cry New Dawn, Far Cry Primal, Mortal Shell, Judgment, Yakuza Like a Dragon, Yakuza 6 The Song of Life, Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor, Middle-earth, Shadow of War, The Pedestrian, Evil Genius 2, Adventure Time Pirates of the Enchiridion, Ben 10 Power Trip, Gigantosaurus the Game, Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire, Ultimate Edition, Worms WMD, and The Escapists 2. WWE 2K22 will also be added to PS Plus Extra and Premium on January 3, 2023. Overall, the PS Plus Extra lineup includes a good variety of titles across different genres. The 3 Far Cry games are coming as a part of Ubisoft Plus Classics, a subscription service that offers older Ubisoft games. However, users should note that Assassin's Creed Valhalla is scheduled to leave PS Plus on the same day. While Sony adds both PS4 and PS5 editions for most games, only the PS4 version of WWE 2K22 is coming to PS Plus Extra. Even though PS5 owners can still run the PS4 version, users will miss out on an enhanced edition of the game. Sony has announced the new games coming to the premium tier of its PlayStation Plus subscription service in December 2022. Around the middle of each month, Sony announces all the new games coming to the pricier PlayStation Plus tiers, and December 2022 is proving to be no exception to the rule. When it comes to the new PS Plus premium games for December 2022, subscribers have 2 PSP games, 1 PS1 game, and 1 PS3 game to check out. The PSP gamers are Ridge Racer 2 and Pinball Heroes, while the PS3 game is Heavenly Sword. The new PlayStation 1 game, meanwhile, is Oddworld Abe's Exodus. The PS1 and PSP games have been updated to include improved visuals, rewind, quick save, and custom video filters, but it's unclear if they will have trophy support or not. Some PS Plus Premium Classic games have included trophies, but the feature is not universal. Some fans have been critical of the new PS Plus Premium game editions since the revamp, but it's safe to say many will be happier with the December 2022 lineup. The PSP version of Ridge Racer 2 was never released in the US, so this is likely the first time many gamers have had the chance to play it. Pinball Heroes may not generate much excitement, but PS Plus Premium subscribers may be happy that PSP games are getting added to the service at all. PS3 game Heavenly Sword is likely to generate the most interest. Originally released in 2007, Heavenly Sword is one of the more underappreciated classic PS3 games. The game has great story and gameplay. And finally, Oddworld Abe's Exodus is a great new addition to the lineup. Speaking of PS Plus, published by Bethesda in early 2022, Ghostwire Tokyo launched as a PlayStation console exclusive, and, roughly 10 months after its debut, PlayStation Plus Premium subscribers have a chance to experience a 1-hour demo of the title. This, alongside the visual novel prequel Ghostwire Tokyo, Prelude, should give prospective buyers ample insight into whether they'll like the open-world supernatural pseudo-shooter. That said, PlayStation Plus Premium subscribers who missed out on Ghostwire Tokyo when it came out can give the first hour a shot if they're interested. And that's all for the video, guys. Like and share the video for a greater audience. Comment your thoughts on the topics, and donations are always appreciated. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon, and until then from SMPV, it's goodbye.